Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Dentist Show. It is Sunday evening, and I'm glad that you are tuned in to watch another exciting episode. We bring you great topics each and every Sunday, each and every Thursday, and I'm so glad that you are joining me on tonight's show. Big thank you to World Remit. It's a better way to send money back home. You can join up to 5.7 million people around the world who are sending money back home. So go on www.worldremit.com and send that money back home. Okay. I also want to say a big thank you to Prodigy Co. She has shito. She has spices. The best jollof spice that you can ever think of. Yeah. Prodigy Foods. Go online. You will thank me later. Yeah. You even thank me now. So you go online and order that shit on, order that spice. Then again to Vesta London Beauty for her amazing lip glosses that she has online, guys. Remember, these are Black-owned businesses that we should be supporting each and every time. And again, my own daughter's shea butter products, Princess Aria, ariasharebutter.com. Go online. She's got her own hair brand and everything. Go online and make sure that you purchase that as well. And then we've got Aya cards. So that is by Chrissy, the Goober Chair. She has these amazing cards, guys. Get some for Valentine's for your loved one, you know, and birthdays, Christmas, whatever it is. She's got the cards for it. So go online on Etsy platform and stroke Aya Card Store. So go on there and make sure they grab that. How are my people doing? Who's watching? Hi, guys. I want to know who's watching today. Where are you watching me from? Let's get the conversation started. What do you feel about the topic? How does this topic make you feel? Raising the next generation, the importance of our native language. You know, how important is it? For me, I've tried so hard to make sure that my kids speak it. It's proven very tough because I know growing up, my parents were very much like, at home, we only speak Chi. That's it. When you go outside, you can speak Ga, you can speak Wahili, you can speak French, whatever. But as soon as you enter this house that you're living in, there's no English in this house. And so my sister, my brother, all of us grew up speaking Chi, even though I came from Ghana at the age of 5, and I can only speak Ga at the time, actually. I don't remember me even speaking Chi, but then I lost the Ga totally, because when I came, my parents did not speak Ga. And so unfortunately now I only speak Chi, but I know the importance of being able to speak Chi, especially when I started coming back to Ghana and just being able to communicate and getting people to understand you more, and be able to do business as well. I feel like people try and take the biscuit a bit when they think you're totally don't understand the language. So it's helped me a lot with business and everything that I'm doing. So I don't know what your thoughts are. Do you speak English or Chi to your children? How has it been raising your family? Now I have 3 amazing speakers. Let me see, somebody's just, hi, Kareem. I have 3 amazing speakers who I'm going to be speaking today who will know a lot about this topic. And so I'm going to invite Ni on first. Ni actually sent his title in Ga, right? And I was like, I've been scratching my head. I'm like, what is his title? Like, what does that mean? So I'm going to bring on Ni Ashite Kwe. Hi, Ni.
Hi.
Ni Miniano.
No fiano is fine. Abeshi. No fiano yojuba. Ni bon to yo ten.
Mi juba.
Nakaini. Oyojuba. Yeah. Yojuba.
First of all, right, before we even start the topic, please, what title did you put on the flyer that we posted?
I put Gan Segbe Jigbe. Gan Segbe Jigbe. Ga is my tribe. Ga is my tribe. And I want all Gans to look for their identity.
Okay.
That is the topic I gave you. I mean, that is the title I gave you. Sorry.
Oh, that's the title that you gave me. You want Gans? Wow. Yeah. Interesting. So, I mean, why? Okay, so first of all, how has knowing how to speak our own language helped you personally in your life?
That tells where I'm coming from. It tells my culture too as well, because language is part of culture and it's part of identity. Anytime I speak Ga, everybody knows I am a Ga, and they can tell me where I'm coming from. It has helped me a lot to identify who I am. Anyway, if I may say, let's take it like I'm somewhere, I'm lost, and I speak Ga. They will tell me where I'm coming from because they know there's a language called Ga or called Ga. So they have to follow and go and look for my relatives or family. So this is how it has helped.
Okay, but is it only helpful if you're in Ghana? Is it helping you here? Because who needs to really know your identity in, for instance, in the UK? How is it benefiting you?
Of course, since we have Ghanaians living in abroad. I mean, I live in Norway, and anytime I speak Ga, they tell me, "Oh, you are a Ga." They say it straight, Ghanaian. That's it. Yeah.
Okay. So, how important do you think it is for parents to teach their children their native language?
That is why I said, let me give you this example. Should in case any of your children is out and missing, once they speak any language that is related to someone who can understand, will say that, oh, okay, I know where you are coming from. Then they can even change to speak your language if the person can speak.
Yeah.
And let's take it for instance that you don't understand English, you don't speak good English, and you speak your language, and I understand. Then I'll go into and then start to talk to you and know where you are from. Maybe that's why you can speak well. Or even though if you cannot speak well, I know you are from maybe the Akan tribe or the Ga tribe. I will look for people who are from that particular tribe to start pushing so that we will find you out. You know? So this is how important I think it is for us to speak our native language.
Yeah, no, I think you're definitely right. I mean, I remember one situation where I was somewhere with the kids and I didn't want to speak English to them because I knew that people around would understand. And so I was trying to get Nokwari's attention, my eldest, to say something in Chi. And I was just like, what is even the point? Because this guy is not even going to understand what I'm trying to say. But I did say it and he understood. But then he was trying to reply in English. I was like, Jai, don't respond. Don't respond in English because it defeats the whole purpose. So I understand definitely it is important. I'm going to invite Kofi on. Kofi is Siedu. And Kofi.
Hi, it's a pleasure to meet you.
You too. Kofi had to say. Whose responsibility is it to teach their children their native language?
Well, in our kind of systems, it would be the society. But because of where we are now, it's become fallen to the responsibility of the parents because we live in a sort of a nuclear family arrangement in the UK and abroad. And so due to that understanding, it falls to the parents. But also you as a child, if you have an interest, you can also teach yourself, just like how I taught myself English.
Okay. But why should we make teaching our kids how to speak our native language a priority? What's so important about it?
I mean, like Brother Nee said, is should I say Brother Ashite, because Nee is his title, isn't it? So Brother Ashite said it's more of an identity symbol. Because if you look at it, language is the foundation of many nations. Every language identifies a nation. Now, if you know the history of Africa, then you would come to know how we had so many languages clamped up in a small space compared to Europe, which has a sparse space and less languages. That's all due to our history, which we can't go into now. So language determines not just where you're from, but who you are, what house you're coming from. And so it's very important that we are able to, if not teach fully, because you can't learn the language fully, but at least introduce our children and concubines, if we have foreign partners, to tap in to the language, because language also will help you tap into the culture. There are certain things that you may hear but not understand, but if you are able to read and write the language, it gives you that access to further yourself.
You know, I'm in Ghana. I'm in Ghana currently, and I find that a lot of parents in Ghana are speaking English to their children, and a lot of them don't understand. You'd be surprised that actually us, probably back in the UK, are now really trying hard to make sure that our children are speaking our native language.
That's true.
What do you think is happening in Ghana at the moment in terms of we're just speaking English? Is it because, you know, English is our main language that's been, you know, approved? Is that why?
I'm gonna be a bit blunt. It's more of a self-hatred kind of situation. You know, when you've been constantly made to reject something, eventually you started rejecting it naturally. You know, because I mean, when I was in school in Ghana, it used to be our languages, which were native to us, were vernacular. And I don't see why a foreign language should overrule a native language. And even the UN Convention says it, due to the mother tongue language celebrations on the 21st of February of every year. So it's up to the nations to pick it up and decide, okay, we are this people, and this is what we're going to choose. However, in the case of Africa or Black nations, we have a multitude of people, what is referred to as tribes, but are rather nations. And like I said, we can't go into the history, who are clamped into a small space. And so there is that competition, that edge to see who's going to come first. The basis is if we come to and realize that there was a time where you could travel from Mali to South Africa without having to speak any other foreign languages, but just your own native tongue, you'd be surprised. But it did happen, you know. So it's not just a case of why are they choosing to learn foreign languages. It's more of a case of how is the education system structured. Is the education system taught in local dialects? If you're in Accra, are you being taught in Ga? If you're in Volta, are you being taught in Ewe? If you're in up north, are you being taught in, example, Dagbani, or a local dialect that you can ascertain to, something that your mother speaks, your father speaks, so you can express yourself more in it? Or if you wanted to create something, you can create it according to your area of expertise or your area of sustenance.
But Kofi, in Ghana alone, we have over 100 different languages. Okay. Yeah. How will we then be able to trade amongst ourselves, be able to communicate when there are so many different languages? Is it that we choose one as a nation and say, this is what we're going for? But would we even be okay with that? Would the Gans be okay with, you know, us saying, let's do Chi? Or would the Akans and Ashantis be okay with us saying, let's do Chi? You know, how do we come across those barriers or jump over those barriers?
I don't see as a barrier per se. I see it's more of a challenge. And the challenge being is when, like I said, if you've been told that you are competing against each other, then the chance that you're going to compete. But in these days, we've come to realize that no, we're not competing against each other per se. We live in, say, a basket, and in this basket, we have to keep it clean. And if we don't do that, of course, we're going to be living in a desperate situation. We can't just choose one language because all the languages have their duties. All the languages in Africa have their duties, what they are used for, who's supposed to initiate it, etc., etc. And so we can't choose one. So we have to use all of them. My personal suggestion would be to have, if you're in Ghana, all the schools in Ghana, for instance, if you're in Accra, for instance, all the schools in Accra, the first language in Accra should be Ghana, because the natives of that area speak Ghana. And it should go around as per region, and you will see how powerful we would become, because we know us for who we are. I mean, the ancestors don't speak English. My grandma never spoke English. In fact, my great grandma said, our native language was the best language ever, because that's all she ever knew. If we are blind to the situation, then the chances are that, yes, we're going to make those mistakes. I mean, I'm sure you travel a lot, and if you go to places like Wales or Scotland, just up the road, they have English signs on the roads, but also have Gaelic signs and Welsh signs. So why can't we do coming into Accra, welcome to Accra in Ghana, coming to Kumasi, welcome to Kumasi in G, Takoradi in Fanti, BA in Bron. And as you go to the region, you know that you have reached an area where things are different and you have to adapt. We are very capable to adapt. It's just we don't adapt unless we're forced to. I mean, look at this country we're in. It's a matter of us knowing that we can adapt and making a choice that, yes, we have a leverage of the foreign languages. They're all 6 languages that came to Africa. Many of us speak it, so we have a very high command of it to a certain level. But we cannot be French. We cannot be English. We cannot be Italian. We cannot be Spanish. We cannot be Portuguese. So why do we continue to pretend we are? And that's because of self-hatred. We don't know ourselves or who we are. And so for that matter, we choose to drop our baby and go pick someone else's baby and say, hey, your baby's so cute. And that's exactly what's happening there.
Wow. I want to come to Francine and see whether she agrees with the fact that we should, keep all of our languages as it is. Let's not pick one. Maybe if it's Ga, maybe it's Chi. What do you think about that, Francine? You're on mute, by the way.
Unmuted myself, I'm sure. Hi, everybody. So yes, definitely an interesting conversation. I was born and raised in the UK, and I moved to Ghana about 4 years ago. And I didn't grow up speaking Ga. My family are Ga. I understand it mainly with my parents, and their reasoning for not teaching us Ga is that we grew up in a quite a non-diverse area. And they felt that it would maybe potentially alienate us if we were speaking a different language. And I think, and for right or wrong, that's the situation. I think obviously they were wrong, and I think that there wouldn't have been any confusion, and it would have helped us understand our identity even more. We were always very proudly Ghanaian. But like having moved here, very much your language is very much tied in how people see you. And even yesterday, my sister arrived from the UK, and I went to pick her up from the airport, and I bought her a Tigo SIM from the airport shop. And the guy told me I wasn't Ga because I don't speak Ga. And I was like, well, I don't necessarily agree with that. And it wasn't until he saw my ID and saw that I'm called Na that he would really accept that I was really from it. So I think that there's a lot of things tied into it. But it's also easy to speak English here. I've been here for 4 years. I have taken Ga lessons on and off. And, I can speak Ga somewhat, but it's also a whole kind of like stage fright situation I have. Like Ghanaians are very jovial, very lovely, but they also like to laugh at people a lot, especially when someone's learning. And having grown up in the UK, that's not really conducive for me. It just like, it makes me feel embarrassed. It makes me feel like, the spotlight's on me. And that's not what I really want to do when there's something that I don't know, and I don't want to be laughed at in a situation. At the same time, I also don't like to be in situations where people can talk about me and I don't really understand, which is also like a driver for me to learn. But in all of that, at the same time, even just like navigating Ghana, even after 4 years, like it takes up a lot of my time. It takes up a lot of headspace. So it's all of kind of these different things. I think it is really important. And I'm a co-founder of Project 1957, which is a diaspora organization in the UK. And we do monthly language clubs. So we have Tree Club, which we've been doing since 2017, and we have Gar Club, which we've been doing since 2019. And it's not a class, it's a safe space for people to kind of practice and learn with other people of similar abilities, and to kind of build that confidence that we don't necessarily have, like necessarily with people who aren't the diaspora. So our Project 1957 was founded to kind of foster that community amongst diasporans in the UK that we see with older generations, Ghanaians who have moved to the UK. Like as a child, like whenever my parents would come across a Ghanaian, they would instantly be embraced. They would somehow be brought into the circle. And I think that we've lost that a little bit, having grown up in the UK, taking on more kind of Western like approaches and ideals. And so that's what we've been trying to do, to kind of try and bring back that kind of community that we see. But like the language thing is hard, and you know we have quite a regular and consistent attendees, and everyone's had that kind of similar experience where you know you're trying and then everyone's kind of laughing at you. It doesn't. At the same time, I know that it's not from a bad place at all. Like it's just like a very Ghanaian trait to just be always kind of happy and laughing. But for us who grew up, I'll speak personally, for me who grew up in the UK, like I've never been in a learning situation where someone's laughing at me if I'm getting something wrong, if I'm getting something right. It's just not something I'm used to. I am more used to it over like having been in the craft for a long time, but I think that that's also like a barrier to people wanting to try and like wanting to try in front of other people. If you're just going to laugh at them, they're not going to continue to want to do that. So I think that there needs to be some kind of balance in that. But also just in general, I think that also just like African languages, I'll say Ghanaian languages because they're the ones I'm aware of, they're also very different to the kind of structure that you would learn like a European language, which again, if you've grown up in the UK, that's what you're used to. You learn French, German, Spanish, Italian, very structured, you know, rules, and like, you know what you're doing. And I mean, I've had Gar lessons before and I'm always like, but okay, what are the rules? And they'll be like, okay, these are the rules, but there's always like 100 exceptions. Like it's really difficult to be able to like kind of sit on your own and do it. You really need to be amongst people kind of conversing. As I said, that kind of way people approach people, it can make people shy. It makes you kind of self-conscious, and it's not always conducive. So it kind of needs to be a bit of a balance. I think that there needs to be changes on both sides. I think that the diaspora needs to be more like bold and confident and like kind of move forward. And then I think that, you know, people who already speak our older Ghanaians, they need to understand that, you know, we are really trying, and that, you know, it's going to maybe take some different approaches to really kind of bring us into it.
Okay. Sis, but what type of age groups are you seeing are joining the classes? What age groups are you getting?
So our target age range is like between 20 and 35. So it's all kind of different rates. There even are some older people. And like everyone, like in terms of it, like we've been running Tree Club since 2017 and Gar Club. We started running Gar Club because people wanted it. People kept asking, and actually people are still asking for Airway Club. They're asking for all kinds of things. So there's definitely like the need and the want out there. It's just there's not that many different structures that work. And I did a more structured, when I was in the UK, I did a more structured like Gar, like lessons, kind of 20 weeks. But as I said, because the structure is different to European structures, it's like the approach has to be different. And I haven't done it yet, but my plan had been to speak to like the Ghanaian Languages Bureau, because obviously in Ghana, people speak, like, you know, people learn Tree, people learn Gar. There are like approaches and ways to teach, and maybe that's something that we need to understand. How are people doing it? Like what kind of like what is the way to do it? Like there's even like in like Winneba, like they do teacher training for GAR teachers. Like what are you teaching them? Like how, like what are the methods that need to be like used in order to like kind of bring people in? So in terms of my personal GAR, like I have a neighbor who has a small child who's about 2 or 3, and another family friend of mine told me that the best way to learn a Ghanaian language is when a child is learning it, because it will just obviously take you back to that kind of basics. Like they don't have rules, they don't really think about it. So I'm like, he's just on the cusp of speaking. So I'm waiting for him to like really, like he understands a lot of different things, but I'm really waiting for him to like really start expressing himself, because I think that I can relate to him a lot more in terms of like how I feel, because actually like learning GAR just makes me feel very much like a child, and I've not felt that way in a long time. I've not felt so like out of my element in a very, very long time. So I think that there's also that kind of like, it's almost like you need to like train someone before they start speaking it, to understand that this is kind of what they're going to go through, and to understand like it's more about like kind of just going out there and like being bold. But as I said, like diasporans, especially I speak for UK diasporans, and not all of them, but it's difficult for us, having grown up in that kind of environment, especially the way you learn things, and like in aspects, even in Ghanaian, in schools, the way people teach things are just completely different. And the teacher I had last time, I had to really try and work with her, because I was like, some of the things, the methods that she used, I don't really respond well to them. So it's like trying to help her like get to a comfortable place that we can like both. I'm learning, you're teaching, but we're both comfortable.
Yeah, I certainly agree. One other thing that I've noticed is I went to Italy. I've been to Italy quite a few times, and they don't care whether you don't understand what they're saying or not. That's how I found Italians. Like, went into the shop, I was like, whatever, I was looking for something, couldn't find it. I was like, and I knew that he could understand English, but they was just like, I don't care. If you don't understand, I can't help you, kind of thing, in their Italian. And obviously I had to then get my friend who's Italian to come into shop and speak to them, to kind of ask them what I was trying to say. But I think that they are so grounded that actually, if you don't learn their language, or if you don't have somebody to interpretate for you, they're going about their business. It's you that's struggling. But as I find that with us, we will bend backwards to try and help, to try and figure out what they're saying. You'll probably go on your phone, like, and try and just, use a tool to understand what they're saying. Are we not grounded enough? I mean, it goes back to what I think Kofi was saying earlier on. Are we still going back to the days where we were colonized, and these people's like, you're speaking English and that's it? Can we actually stick to our native languages when somebody English, for instance, comes into our shop? Can we still maintain speaking in our Gaza and Chi and still serve them? Or would we be, no, do you know what? There's no point. Let me just speak English.
But English is the national language, right?
Yes, it is. It is.
It is it's the official national language of Ghana. So
official, not national.
Okay. Okay, fine. It's the official language of Ghana.
It's the official language.
But even in that, like you're saying, like I live in Accra and I'm Ga. Every day, there's not a day goes by that people ask me, why don't I speak Chi? Every day of my life. But why should I speak Chi? Why should I? Like, I'm not saying I don't want to, but I'm saying like I'm in Accra and I'm a Ga. Why should I speak Chi?
Yeah.
Because everyone speaks Chi, I'm told. So it's even in that sense, like it's difficult because regions are so mixed now. Okay, maybe not all regions. Accra is so mixed now. What is the language? What language are we going to choose to be the language? If we were going to pick something to like stick to in shops, what would be the correct one to pick?
I know, and this is the issue, that I don't think that us as Black people, Ghanaians, will accept anybody's because of tribal stuff.
Yeah,
really, you'll be like, I'm Ga. I want to speak Ga.
Yeah,
Because people will be like, I'm Ashanti, I want to speak Chi.
I
So
want to learn more.
no, you know, like there is a big issue when it comes to one, loving ourselves, and one, unity. I don't see us as Black people. If those people that come and say speak English, we'll probably be in different places right now. I don't know what you think about that.
I mean, it's definitely interesting. I do agree. There's definitely, I mean, and I've seen it more since I've been in Ghana. That there's definitely, in the UK, it's easy to not get involved in like tribalism or tribal wars. But yeah, there's definitely characteristics people give for different tribes, and they feel that people act a certain way. And I mean, if in terms of like what would like we pick in that, and I'm not saying that like Accra is a Ga region, right? So that for me that would make sense. But obviously I'm Ga, so that's how I feel. But there's a lot of Ashanti people, there's a lot of people from the Ashanti region, there's a lot of people from everywhere else. And it's like obviously we don't want to isolate anybody. So like what would be the best thing to pick? I don't know if there is a right answer. I think that you would just have to give each language the same kind of credence. And again, you've got Tree, then you've got Ga. And then we're going, Ewe doesn't get the same. Does it need everything needs to have the same like importance, because everything is important. But even at the moment, there's other languages that are put over others. So I think that this is need a level playing field, and you want everyone to have the same access, the same opportunity to learn whatever they want to learn. But you'll find like even like in us doing this tree club, like in terms of tree, like there's a lot of resources online, like there's apps, there's lots of different things. Gar, there's less. Ewe, there's I don't know any apps or anything. So even in that, in what's available, that also makes a difference, right? It's going to be easier for people to learn tree, like way easier than Gar, than Ewe, than Hausa, than anything else. So that's why everyone's more drawn to it, and so there's more material. Like there's more classes, there's more opportunities. Even in Ghana, like I've seen lots of tree clubs, tree classes advertised, but not as many Ga classes. So I think it's also about what the supply is, like what's available to people, and that's and in terms of that's kind of push the demand. Like that's people just take what's available. And it's easy. You can get tree clubs are very much, and I think it's obviously because there's more speakers, but there seems to be more structured. There's a lot more material. Even like things like Allianz Conseil here, they do like tree classes, as well as, but you won't see them doing Ga classes. So I think that the push is towards tree, even if no one says it out loud. That is the push across Ghana, I think.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah, you've got a point there. Just to back that up. If we were to look at the languages in Ghana and to think, what language we should choose because it commands all the vowels, syllables, and phonetics, etc., then Dagbani will be the language that we should actually choose. Okay. However, the most spoken language, as Francine said, is Tree. But what we cannot do is overlook the other languages due to their importance. And the history will tell you more. I mean, Nee knows what I'm talking about. So what we need to do is look at these fluctuations. What's the best way to move forward? The chance of that tree is going to come up for it, but even in tree, which tree are we going to use? Because we got the Fanti. Well, of course, Fanti is not classified as tree. Don't know why, but it is. But when we're talking about tree, we got Kuyapim, we got Asante. So there are different versions of which one are we going to go forward with. Now, the bigger challenge is because we don't write it, it makes it harder to pick, okay, this is the one we're going to use because of such and such a reason. Because if we have been writing, then we'll be writing our papers in Ga, Chi, Ewe. So that creativity will be there, that spark to create in that culture, that language will be there. But because we have not been for so long, it leaves a gap, and then when we look at the transition from, writing with quills to pens and then to typewriters and then eventually to mobile phones. Until we got to mobile phones, no African language was being featured in computing. You know, so that is the challenge that we have. As a European, if I'm creating something, I'm going to create it for my country. And so what's your language to me? Are we Africans looking at those factors? No, we're not. You know, there was a time, well, two years ago, I went to Ghana and I went to Takoradi Polytechnic, and this is the time that I was showing around my product, and someone blatantly, well, we don't need it, we can speak English.
Wow.
You know, it was that blatant, and this is a teacher. So if the teacher himself is quite wayward, then you can imagine what other information they could pass on or data they could pass on. Is the knowledge to know yourself, where you're from, where you're going. Like they say, if you don't know where you are, you don't know where you're going. And so we need to know that, you know, this is highly critical that we start creating. You know, we want to industrialize and that, but if you industrialize on a Chinese, for instance, linguistics, everyone's going to have to speak Chinese. And the challenge with that is every child does not learn the language when they come out of the belly. They learn it as they are in the womb. That's why they can hear daddy speaking, hear mommy speaking. They kick as and when they hear you. Mothers, you will be able to give us a better evidence of that. So wait until a child get to year 3, year 6, and then decide, oh, from this stage onwards, we're going to be, you know, learning English or French. What you are doing is limiting the child's growth linguistically by 7+ years. You know, when you hear Ghanaians that speak English that always stretch out, it's because they are thinking of whatever they're saying in their native tongue and transliteration it back to you in English, which means it's a lot more effective and more productive, also a lot more energy efficient to actually let the children just speak what they're used to, what their natural essence teaches them to do. You know, we can't tell them not to be themselves when they're young, and then when they grow up, we're like, oh, we don't know who you've turned out to be. Because if we're, you know, bringing up the children of the future, then we should give them what our ancestors gave us, or what they missed out to give us. You know, because we don't want to be repeating the past. And unfortunately, it's looking more and more like we are, because we're too quick to copy without, you know, checking why it's done that way. You know, you can wear a coat in, you know, Europe in the middle of winter, but you see people wearing coats in Ghana in the middle of the sun. So it's that, you know, that clear, concise action of, this is what I need, this is what I need to do, or this is what I have to do, and so this is what I've got to do to get there.
I agree. I mean, I'm just going back to me being a nurse and being in the hospital, and I remember one of the cleaners was a Ghanaian woman, and she clearly could only speak Twi properly, and sometimes when she's been asked a question, she doesn't fully understand what the answer should be or how she should construct her sentence. But what I find is that the Indian person, they would get an interpreter who speaks Punjabi or whatever on the line to kind of translate. But the Ghanaian woman didn't get that option. It was only if, oh, Denta's on that day, that she will get the assistance because I know how to speak Twi. I just feel like, I don't know whether it's us that's just not asking for it, that we are forcing ourselves, especially the ones that, you know, only know the Twi or the Ga, to try and, you know, answer these questions that they may have, or trying to figure out how to construct it. Whereas, you know, when you go on the language line in the NHS, you won't find Twi there. You'll find all of the other Asian languages, but there'll be no real African languages on there to help. You know, what can we do about these things? Or do we not really matter when it comes in terms of the numbers? Maybe it's not very useful for them to have somebody that speaks Twi on the translator.
Need you want to take that? Because it's outspoken already.
Yes, I was, you know, I was trying to write something to the mail. I just sent a message. Actually, it seems like I've been quiet listening to you because every time somebody is coming with something, even though I want to come, I just want to relax. Okay, let me go straight to the point. Let me take it from Italy. The story you said about Italy. When you were in the shop, and I mean, the conversation was like not flowing because of the language. I think when it comes to business, there should be one common language that everyone can understand, because it's business. It's not like normal chat that you are meeting somebody on the street, and you know. So to me, I feel like in Italy, they should try to speak English for foreigners when they come to do business, so that they can talk. I know they can go and, I mean, do they rent or order somebody to do interpretation for them to pay money when it comes to business? Some people do that. They can rent people to talk for them and then they pay them and go. All right. So I just want to say that, because I feel like me doing business with somebody that we don't understand ourselves is so crazy. I'll go crazy. I will not be happy at all. All right, let's come back to Kofi says so much, which I really agree with him. I mean, he says so much, and I had the same things on my mind. So I was like, oh wow, he's saying it for me. This is what I want to say. No language should be changed. Nobody should be to be stopped from speaking their own language. I don't expect Gans to stop speaking Gan. I don't expect Tree people to stop speaking their Tree or Fanti. I don't expect any tribe to stop speaking their language, because that is what makes them who they are.
Fantastic.
Coming to Gans, we've been. I mean, they've imposed the language on us, the Tree language on we Gans. It has been imposed on us to speak the Tree, no matter what. Because I remember when I was in school, we used to learn Gan. And my friends who are coming from different tribes, I mean, from Kumasi, from Takrady, I mean, everywhere. When it goes to the Volta, I mean, my school was a boarding school, so we come and stay together, and then we go to school. And they were all learning the same Gan language. By then, we were not having two languages to choose out from. We were having only Gan language, and maybe French. Yeah, French too was there. So we're taking French as another course. But Gan was my first language to write and to speak. And I was speaking good Gan until this thing changed from 2001, that gradually they started wiping the Gan language from the schools. Teachers who go to school to learn how to write Gan and speak Gan, to go to schools and teach. Whenever they finish their course, they transfer them outside Accra. For what reason, we don't know. But can you just imagine what they are going to use the Gan to do in Kumasi? It's like, it makes no sense, but it has been done that way. And for me, I see it to be an agenda, because if somebody can take you out from your own tribe to go to somewhere with something that you've learned that the people must benefit from it, it sounds like it's that ridiculous. And that is what is happening. As of now, some people are telling you straight in the shop, like, why are you speaking Gan with your child? I mean, I have a sister. She's watching right now. She's in Sweden. She went to the shop here in Sweden to buy, and there was a guy there who met them, and she was speaking with a daughter. And the guy was like, why are you speaking Gan with your daughter? And she was like, but she is my daughter. What do you want me to speak? I'm a Gan. What do you want me to speak? The guy said, no, but a Tree is the language that everybody speaks. And if I have to give you more evidence on that note, I have a video here. It's like I cannot play. Maybe if you have the time for me to play. If I play you that video and you see me and one journalist who called me to interview me, and he was asking me to speak Tree. So he asked me, are you going to speak Tree? And I said, I will speak Gan. He can speak the Tree because I understand Tree and I understand Gan. But I prefer he should speak his Tree. I will reply him in Gan. And he said, oh, but Tree is something that everybody, I mean, he said everybody is listening in the world. And most people, I mean, you know, all the things that he said, I don't want to even repeat it. It's so painful, you know. So I was not happy when he was coming out that way. He started to change the story, and then I said something, and then he came back again. I said, you see, you were not. It's like you were not joking. You were serious, but you were pretending, you know. But later we did the interview. I mixed everything in like English, and I mean, I didn't even speak Ghana. I think I was speaking just English, and we did the interview. Apart from that, so much. I mean, friends go to parties, and when they are speaking their own language, people look at them and tell them they are disgusting. Why are you doing that? I know some people, I can't mention names, but they're calling me to complain to me. In fact, I don't know how you discovered me. I've been thinking how you discovered me. I was like, how did you know me? Why did you give me this invitation to come on this platform? So Kofi even asked me today. I told Kofi, I don't know. I'm here to know from you. That's how you. Of course. Yeah, and I like Natu spoke well because she's a Ghan. And even though she cannot speak Ghan, she's trying to learn from a kid, which is true. We all learn from kids.
Yeah.
You understand? We all learn from kids. Do you know, I live in Norway. I have 2 kids here. I have more than 2 kids, but I'm living with 2 boys. I brought them from Ghana. 3 years, they are speaking Norwegian more than me.
Wow.
You see? Yes, but I speak my Ghana with them every time. One thing that I do, that I want people to do to me is, I respect people. So I want them to respect me. You know, when I go to the shop and you are a tree, I speak tree with you. It's the same way I expect you that if I speak Ghana in my shop and you can speak Ghana, speak. If you can't, I don't have a problem. I will find a common language to speak.
That you both understand.
That is it. You know, we have a lot of journalists in Ghana, and most of them are tree people. When they go to the field to do interviews, they do it deliberately. I mean, they'll go to Choco and speak, tree with the people in Choco, and you can see that even the people don't really understand the tree, and they will impose on them to speak it. It's like they put it on their neck. Somebody, I saw it in Kofi TV things that he's doing, you know, and I'm like, wow, is that what you want to do? I mean, if you can't speak the Ghana, it's not a force, but try to speak English to them then, so that they can, project well. Say what they want to say with their own feelings, or find somebody who understands both of you. So one will speak Ghana, one will translate it to English, one will speak English, one will translate it to what? Ghana. That is all I expect everybody to do. I don't like cheating. I don't like cheating at all. Everybody must maintain their language. If I come to Kofi, I'll speak tree for Kofi. Kofi comes to me, he should speak Ghana. If he can't, we find one good.
You're gonna have to teach me. You're gonna have to teach me.
You know, and one thing I've experienced is you guys all live in UK, right?
That's correct, yes.
So you all have the same tonation. You all have the same tonation. Like, you know, when you are speaking, I see like you are slangy. Anyway, I'm happy to be on this platform. And yeah, there's more to say, but you can talk. As
yes, actually, my team found you. They found everybody on this platform. Obviously, what you have been doing, promoting the Ghana language, is something that has a lot of people are watching you. You may not know, but people are watching you, and so I think that they said to me that Ni Ashute is a good person to have on the show. Because he's an advocate for the Ghans and for the Ghan native language. And so, that's why you're here on the platform. And it's a privilege to meet you for the first time.
Thank you very much.
For the first time.
Salute.
Yes. And, like I said to you, when I was born in Drasso, in a village, right? my parents left, and then I was moved to Nkran. So when I was there, my aunties that were living there, all they spoke was Ga. Even though they were Shanties, they spoke Ga.
Yes.
But unfortunately for me, when I came, my parents didn't speak Ga. So I totally lost it. Totally, I don't know one thing right now. Even though my husband speaks Ga and Chi and Fanti and everything else, but I just haven't been able to grasp the Ga. Which I'm now that I know that Project 1957 is here. I'm going to be trying to learn the Ga. I think it's a very important. It's, like you said, I'm in Accra. And, I would love to be able to speak Ga to my people here. All I know is Miniyano, Nokoyano.
Yano, yeah.
Like, one or two.
It's good. I mean, I love that. When you spoke, you gave me some audio. The first time you wrote to me, and then you told me, Oyirado. I was like, I never expected you to say that. Never. I was like, are you speaking Ga? Yeah, that's good.
It gets people comfortable. Even I'm saying about the Italy thing, but when I was there, the hellos and whatever, I try to say it. It relaxes the person. It makes the person feel like, oh, you respect me. You respect where I'm coming from. But then, once they start speaking in their language, you're like, no, that's all I understand. They start laughing and they start opening up because they realize that at least you have tried. Right? At least you have tried. So I think that it's important. But Francine, how are you going to be, I don't know if you've got kids at the moment, but if you are planning to, how important is it going to be for you to teach your children Ga? Because as you said, your parents, you might have lived in Hampshire or whatever, outskirts, and so your parents didn't teach you the Ga, but how are you going to be different from what your parents did?
I actually grew up in Mitcham, so not so much in the outskirts, but it was a different time back in the 80s.
Yeah, okay.
It's really important. I live in Ghana now, so it's important for me. I want them to feel adjusted. I want them to feel like they belong, and I don't want them to feel the way I felt, like in terms of people saying that you're not Ghanaian, you're not Ga, you're not this. Like I feel strongly in my identity, and I don't think that because I don't speak the language, that instantly makes me not of you. And I think it's unfair, and also it means that you're basically being a barrier or a blocker to me wanting to be able to be and be part of my culture. And I think it's unfair. And if people in the diaspora are going to continually face these kind of barriers and challenges and be like, you're not this, you're not that, you're not this. I mean, people call me an Abroni pretty much every time I leave the house, and that's fine. I have an UK accent, but I'm just saying, they're not really trying to make me feel like I'm part of the community. And it's until I can speak the language, or until I can respond, and I can respond to people, but I feel like it's a bit performative for you to only want to make me feel part of the crew if I speak the language. And then instead of people trying to take the time to teach me something, a little bit of something, that's not what it is. Immediately you want to count me out and be like, you're not one of us. And so what I would say is that, I mean, I'm fairly persistent, and I have I can take it, but I'm not everybody. Somebody could hear that and kind of negative feedback and then not want to kind of keep on trying, or maybe they come from I grew up in the UK, but very Ghanaian. I spent a lot of time in Ghana growing up, lots of holidays back and forth. And as an adult, I decided that I was going to come back and forth, and I was going to move. But I also kind of recognized my privilege in the sense that I'm from Accra. My family have a house here. It's easy it's not easy, but it's easier for me to do what I've done than it is for someone else who's maybe family don't come back as often. They're not from Accra. They're from a different region. They're from the northern region. They don't know anybody here. What are they going to do? In that sense. And Ghana is I'm not even saying that Ghana is very welcoming, and everybody who's not Ghanaian will say that that's true. But there is that kind of extra acceptance that's required from Ghanaians outside and here, that we're coming to like find more of ourselves. We want to find more of our identities, more of who we are. Like, I moved here because I want to know more. Like, as much as I know a lot about Ghana, I've learned so much being here. I've met, you know, I literally have been to places and met cousins in places in Osu that I didn't even know we were related. That genuinely happens. And like, so I'm never going to get that as much in the UK. It's just not going to happen. But in terms of like feeling welcomed, it's not always been, it hasn't always felt that way.
Okay. All right. So a question for you. For Africans in a diaspora who want to return back home, do you think it's important they learn the local dialect when they arrive or before they arrive? And if so, why?
I would say that, I mean, it would be great if they did learn a dialect before they arrived. Even if it's just a few words, it's kind of novelty, people know you're trying, but I don't think it should be a barrier or a blocker to them actually doing the move, because actually you will be exposed in a lot more ways. And even though I don't feel so confident in my Ga, I have a friend, Nana, who doesn't live here now, she lives in Switzerland, but even we lived together here for like 3 or 4 years, and there'll be times when we're out and she'll be like, your Ga's really come across because it's come along because I've understood something that someone said, or like I've been able to like translate for her where I don't really think I've learned anything, but actually through like osmosis, just through being in the culture and hearing different things, like that's like really, really helped me. So I think it's important. I think that people should try. They should come along to Ga Club, to Tune Club, and like, you know, try out, like learn some new things, test some things out. But I don't think it should be a blocker. And I think that you just need to keep kind of that hunger to do it. And like, and that's what I mean about like people kind of not like, people need to kind of understand that as diasporans haven't grown up here, we're not used to, I've never been to school or learned anything where anyone's laughed at me. They have to understand what like that could potentially mean to everybody. It doesn't mean the same thing for everybody. Some people can just laugh along or get on with it, but some people that will literally like stop any will that they have to kind of pursue it. So but in that, as I said, that Ghanaians will laugh at you all the time, but they're always willing to help at the same time. If you get something wrong, or if they need you to correction, or you need to find the word, they will always help you. So I think it's just a little bit of both. Like, I think that even the diaspora, we need to be a little bit more, even myself, a little bit more like just roll with it, and like, you know that laugh is not it. It's just something in my mind. It's like as soon as someone starts laughing at me, like, I just don't want to try again. I don't want to try anymore. I don't want to say it again so you can laugh again, kind of thing. But I think that, yeah, we definitely need to get over that. And then I think we just all need to meet each other halfway, because the intent is there. The intention is there. We want it. You know, Ghanaians who speak the language, they want us to learn it. So it's just more. It's more of us trying, and also just creating these spaces that people can feel comfortable in.
Comfortable, yeah, absolutely.
Can I make one point, please? I just want to make one point. You know, I think people living in the UK and America don't have these kind of problems. We, the guys living in different, like, I mean, in Sweden, Norway, Germany, Italy face. When we come to countries like this, where they don't speak English, we are forced to go to the school to learn the language. Yes, I went to school. I have certificates that I've learned Norwegian. My children are learning Norwegian. I mean, friends, anybody who comes to Norway and wants to stay here must learn Norwegian. Just ask yourself why. Because that is what makes the country, or makes them like you to understand that you are in Norway. This is Norway. So language, that's why I said language is what makes a town. Because when you enter the town, what they speak is what to tell that, oh, yes, hey, Maba Kumasi, oh, Maba Takwade, oh, Chale Imbaga. You understand?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it will tell you that you are there. When the language is dead, then the town is dead. Totally. This is all I want to say. I don't have much. I think a lot of people understand what we are doing, and they are very happy. People want to join us, I mean, to chip in all things, but I don't know how they can do. So I'm just telling you, I'm reading comments and people want to comment. I mean,
oh no, we're gonna go into the comments very soon.
Okay.
If I don't ask all my questions, my audience always take up all the questions. So Let me
Okay.
ask a few of mine first before I go on to the
Okay.
But one of the other things that I've noticed is that I don't know whether it's just chi, but like when somebody's teaching or when you come to Ghana and you want to learn, the first thing that they teach you is the bad words. Like, no, I don't understand.
It's true. That is true.
Ask why do we teach the bad words before we teach the good ones? Why is that?
Yes.
Why is that, me?
Yes, because those are the things people might say to you, and you need to understand it first. Because let me tell you something. You know, we used to say it. I mean, when we see these boys like a shoe shine boy who is like passing, maybe he just came from Kumasi, and then he's passing with his butt, then we call them to come and polish our shoes. We just say, well, but they tell me about where, you know, that kind of thing. We start to tell you all these things because you don't understand, and you need to know all those things because they are the basics. I mean, when it comes to Ghana, the basics are those things. Like they'll teach you the insults, so you understand that when somebody says this, it's an insult. At the same time, they are teaching you the good ones, but the insults are like very common for me to say to you, like, oh, go with you, oh, this and that, you know. Yeah, so it's normal. Me, I see it to be normal. You know, when I came to Norway, the languages I started learning was similar things, like how to say, what can I say? Like, it's so nice to say it. It's so nice to say. You just let me keep that one. But those are the things I learned. Yeah. Those are the things I learned. How to say certain things, which is so common, like you hear it in town. Yeah, because I want to know all those things. So to me, I feel like it has become part of us, and we are used to it. Not everybody, but I am used to that.
Okay.
I am used to that. Yeah.
Do you agree? Why do we, teach people the bad words before the good ones?
I don't know where to start from. I've never had to teach anyone the bad words before the good ones. But I think it goes back to that sense of self-hatred because they don't want you to learn anyway, so they want to discourage you. You know, it's like I remember a story of where someone went for a record deal, for instance, and the person that was taking the deal decided to let them go for a run while they're singing. And they thought, well, what was the point of this? Now, 10 years later, they had an interview with the person that went for, the artist that went for the role, and the producer or the manager. And he said, I was actually trying to break you because I didn't want you to be, I didn't think you were serious. But, know, after a couple of weeks, I noticed you were actually, this was your dream, this is what you wanted to do. So sometimes some people want to have fun. Sometimes, they actually don't know why they do it. But most of the time it will be because within them, so they don't want you to learn it because they don't want to learn it. They don't like learning it. They're used to having it, so they're not used to not having it. And when you have something, you don't feel the value unless it's gone, unfortunately. And I suspect that is what it is. It's a speculation, but I'll stick to it. Oh, are we still there? I think you've got.
Yes. Sorry.
Right.
Do you think the choice of a native language a person speaks? Do you think we have a choice of native language of a person of what they should speak, or as long as they can communicate in one native language, it's okay?
Well, that's a big ask because it depends on where they end up. If you end up if you land in Ghana and say, well, emergency, no flights are stopping in Kotoka, you have to go to Kumasi or up north in Tamale, then the Ghana you learn is stuck with you. If you learn only the Bani, for instance, and you're stuck in Accra, the Bani is stuck with you. So it's leveraging, finding the balance between where you are going to end up and what is the most common spoken language. And this is where we come back to what Naa was saying, that because there's an influence of people speaking Akan or Tree more often, people are subject or looking to think that must be the language. But what were the things that, you know, those that make the policies look at is how are we able to implement it in our system? Are we going to be able to have our children or our teachers teach in this language, instruct in this language? Currently, we can, but these are things that they have to, you know, test against their metrics, whatever they have to check. Okay, is this valuable for this? Is it valuable for that? But the chances are that there probably might not be one. It's just a syllable, and a syllables, you know, created in such that we do not create, but we consume. And so as long as we're able to use that service, we're okay, as opposed to trying to create a service to either replace it or better it or created it specifically for our kind.
Okay. Do you think Ghanaians have respect for their local dialect and culture? Na mentioned at the beginning that when she went into a shop and they found that her name was Na, then they started taking her seriously. I'm sure if she had said Francine Dove, they would have been like, you're definitely not Ghanaian. How important is it now having traditional names instead of these names that really do not belong to us?
It's a very interesting question. As a Ga, and whose surname is Dove, it's difficult, right? And there's a lot of and it's very common for Gas to have European names, European surnames, and so it's a difficult one. I think I'd say, like, working in Ghana, and I had a colleague who had a Ga name, had a Ghanaian name, first name, not last name, and definitely when we would go into like meetings and things, the initial response is very different, and it's not until I explain that I'm Ghanaian and stuff that it's different. And for example, when I moved here, I had like normal business cards printed, Francine Dove, and I just really wasn't getting the traction, and I basically reprinted them and put my Ghanaian name in there, and it just makes every difference in terms of people relate to me, like what they want to give to me, you know, the conversations that we want to have in terms of, and that's just work. So I do think it's important, but I don't think it's been a long time that people have had different names. Even my father has no Ghanaian names, for example. He was born and bred in Osu. Like, he just doesn't have any, I don't know why, but he doesn't have any Ghanaian names. So I think it's important. It's more important for the way other people see you, I guess. Like, because immediately, if you have a Ghanaian name, people will identify you as Ghanaian, and they can place you where you're from, where your family's from. And I get the same in like Accra, or like specifically Osu Labadi. Like, people will know that my surname is Ga. Like, my family are from Osu, but it doesn't translate anywhere else in the country as much as if my name was like Boateng or Amoate, or you know, all these different things. Like, so I think it's important, but we just live in a time where, more than ever, it's maybe less likely someone maybe have a Ghanaian name from, into marriage and, being in different areas, different influences. So I think it's important, but I think it's unfair how like people without a Ghanaian name, obvious Ghanaian name, are kind of just counted out. Because ultimately, I didn't name myself, right? So it's not on me. Do you know what I mean? It's not on me. But like all my siblings, we all have Ghanaian names, Ga names. I would say I have a Ga. Na is my Ga name, but the name that's attached to it is not Ga. It's actually Ewe, because my grandmother died and they named me after her. And so my whole life, people have always told me I've said my name wrong because they've assumed it's Ga. And I've not been able to say it, but like only in moving here, and then everyone's explaining, oh, it's actually different. And even I didn't know it was different. I assumed it was God because that was the name that my grandmother had. They'd given me. They put Na in front of it, so I just thought it was always the same. But it's even in that. But then in that kind of experience, I've learned a lot more about like Ga, Ewe, and how they're related, and that kind of like difference. So there's so many things. There's so much crossover. As much as like we're talking about tribalism before. It's so strange because you know, even if you go back into like the way things are based on clans, there's probably a lot more crossover than we think there is, right? And it's just, I don't know what it is that what's happened to make us feel like so divided, but we're all Ghanaian, regardless of what tribe you are. And I think that that's what we need to lead with. Like, first of all, we're Ghanaian, and then we break it down. And yes, we might be different tribes, but we should just try and learn from each other more than think, oh, I'm my tribe here, we do this, and we eat this, and we wear this, and then I'm like, that's not going to create any kind of community. And besides that, as I said, even intermarriage in tribes, I'm sure that that's way more prevalent now than maybe 20, 30 years ago. We've got all these different, you know, Ghanaians who are a mix of it. They should learn everything. They shouldn't be one or the other. They should be able to learn all those things. To kind of just, you know, be able to be free wherever they are in the country. Like, we're talking a lot about Tree and Gar, but what happens if I go to the north? What am I doing then? Like, who am I going to find to speak? Do you know what I'm saying? I can learn all this. I can learn Gar and be fluent, but I go somewhere else, immediately it's redundant, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I sometimes it's difficult, especially when we're in a crowd. We're very closed-minded. I think we need to think even more broad. And I mean, I remember like researching languages a few years ago, and I know there's a lot of, they say, dying languages in Ghana. Like, so we need to think about like what's leaving us, but like the most, who's the least amount of people speaking it, because that's what we need to preserve in the first instance. I think that Tree and Gar, it'll be a long time before like you could get to a point where there's no one speaking it. But there are probably other languages that need to be preserved more and need more work to have a smaller community that could also help us understand more about our culture across the country.
Yeah, and I also think that, not to cut you, Francine, I also think that, you know, you mentioned about us just being Ghanaian. You know, when we looked at people that inspire us, when people spoke about Kofi Annan, we didn't think, oh, Kofi Annan is from da 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 da. The fact that he's just Ghanaian, that was enough. That was enough. Okay, we didn't have to break it down to anything. Kwame Nkrumah, he's Ghanaian. That was just it, you know. Reggie Yates, he's just Ghanaian. Even though he's mixed, you don't care. The fact that there's Ghana in there, he's Ghanaian. And so I think that that's the type of love that we need to be pushing more before we start cracking it down and trying to break ourselves into little bits and pieces. Right. I think I've got so many questions that I need to go on. There's lots of comments. There's lots of questions. So Chris, we'll start with Muhammad Ali. At Kofi, what do you think of the foreign programs on our national television? Oh, that's a big one. On our national televisions.
I know one called Kumkum Ghana. And it speaks for itself. So I personally, I don't like it at all, because I don't watch TV a lot. Now, I went to Ghana in 2016 it was, and I went to Takoradi because we have family there. And my mother, my cousin's mum, was watching something of that sort. And what triggered me more was I was sat there, I could understand everything that's going on, but when I looked, the person speaking, it looked nothing like me. And that was worrying. So it is not a good idea. It takes things out of us, because I don't even know how to bring it up, what it actually does, because we have a system in place to benefit us. We loan the time out to other people to show us their culture, but the side of their culture they're not sure you're showing us are more like telenovelas, like the EastEnders. You know, we know for sure that if you want to raise your children, you can't raise them on EastEnders. So why have we got the likes of Kumkum Baja sat on national TV, and we're literally just addicted to the thing because it's coming from a foreign party. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting.
But now a television station has made it into basically done the translation.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's in TV.
Yeah.
Where actually we can do our own.
I mean, we had Akan drama. We had By the Fireside. They were interesting. They taught us quite a lot. you know. So I don't know why this whole, you know, idea of everything foreign is very attractive to us. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, I can't answer why we do it, but what I can say is, for me, my opinion, it's disgusting. We need to stop it. We need to be ourselves, because if we are not ourselves at home, we can't be ourselves when we're out there. You know, and it explains why we suffer a lot of, you know, mental issues when we travel, because in Europe they have the accessibility where they can give you that support. Back home, the only madman is the one that's taking the clothes off and, you know, has locked hair, if you want to call it, because that is our focus. Oh, if you're like that, then you're mad. But mental state does not come from, you know, just losing your clothes. Someone could be look okay, perfectly okay, but when you speak to them after a while, you come to realize, you know, there's not something not right up there. And that's not because they're gone cuckoo, but it's because there's something that is actually triggering, you know, that energy or that form of being. So yeah, it needs to stop, honestly. Mahama, thanks for that question.
Okay. All right. Does anyone of you have anything to add to that as well?
In terms of like programming, I guess it's just more that maybe does Ghana just need to make more programs, right? Like, is the reason why people are so into foreign programming because that's what's available?
I don't think that was the case.
No,
It's on
I don't
national
think
TV.
so.
If it was on a private network, fine, but it's on national TV, say GTV, Ghana Television.
So I was saying this, I don't watch TV, so I don't know much about it. But I'm just saying, like, I know that there's like a lot of interest in these Indian soap operas and other things. So I don't know, is there an equivalent in Ghana, like an equivalent of this, that, like you said, is it Kum Kum Baja? Is there an equivalent program in Ghana?
Is that
what?
There's
Loads of programs. There are loads of programs, and the thing is, I don't know. I think there's a lot of work to do. There is a lot of work to do. Sometimes when you think about it, you start getting a bit crazy. But Kofi, can you see Richie's text on there? Can you read it out to us?
Yes, speaking your native language is an important part of yourself, because that is what you were taught wrong. You were taught I think what he meant, what you were taught during your infancy. And as you're growing up in the society, you can learn many other languages which can help you to become a bilingual or multilingual. I, for instance, speak 7 languages in Ghana, and I'm proud of it. Fantastic, Richie. That is brilliant. My auntie used to speak 9, but yeah, that's great.
Wow. That's fantastic. Okay, let's go to another one. Francine?
Parents should speak their native language with their children to preserve the language. Yeah, no, I do agree. But I guess in the sense, I mean, it's difficult as well. Like, even like parents in the diaspora, they're like trying to just live their lives, right, as Black people in a foreign country. So, like, yes, they should, but there's a lot of overheads, and I think that there is a lot of people who immigrate to another country. There's a lot of things. Even me as a child, I didn't think of my parents as immigrants. I just thought of them as my parents. But as an adult now, I'm thinking about all the other things. They didn't grow up in the UK. They didn't go to school in the UK, and they have children who are out in the world. There's a lot of things to kind of deal with. So I agree that people should, but I also do understand the pressures of when someone's out, like someone's not in their environment, and just them trying to assimilate in that sense is also difficult. So I think that there definitely needs to be a balance, but I think that's where the community comes in, right? So if you have more support, if the community is more together, then, you know, I think that would help in that sense, because I feel like, you know, being in Ghana is just not one person who raises a child, right? It's literally the village, like literally. So you're learning things from lots of different people, whereas if in the UK, as an example, it's not really the same, and the community is a lot smaller, right? So, so I think that there just needs to be more cohesion amongst us, and I think that would that lead on. And also, just, I mean, if there's more community, if people are more socializing with other Ghanaians, even if I had a Ghanaian friend who spoke Ga, like that would have made lots of difference for me. And obviously not everyone could have that, but I wasn't even thinking about pursuing that kind of situation.
Yeah.
But if I had somebody, then I think that would have really helped me. So thinking about, you know, if you have children of a similar age, or you have friends whose children also speak, you know, a different Ghanaian language, like kind of getting them together, because again, that will just foster more and more confidence and communication.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you read out the next thing that Akria has written on the screen?
Sure. Language is the most important thing in all aspects of our daily life, especially your mother tongue. That should be a priority for every parent to teach their children, no matter what, no matter where they find themselves. It identifies who you are and where you come from. My little girl is half Swedish, half Gar, and I started speaking Gar with her since she was born. Her first words were "ba." I want her to be able to communicate with her grannies when she goes home. I'm a proud Gar and proud to teach my child my language. Which I think is great, and I agree. Like it's so great when someone can go back home and communicate with elders, you know, in the language that they speak. But as I said, there's a lot of challenges living in the West. There's a lot of challenges. So it just depends on what everyone's situation is. And I'm not going to, like, anybody who hasn't taught their child the language, they might have many reasons. But it's not always, like, living in the UK, living in Europe, living in America, that's a trial in itself sometimes. So I think sometimes I think it's unfair to, like, put blame anywhere. But as I said, I think that there's work that we can do as a community, because if your children are socializing with other Ghanaian children speaking, like, our languages, then that's definitely they're not only gonna have that relationship growing up, but they're gonna have people to speak to practice and stuff. And I didn't necessarily have that as my example. And I think that, again, that would have helped. So I think that's just all about us kind of fostering that community together and, like, working together and not being so divided.
Yeah, absolutely. Nee, can you read what's on the screen?
Yeah, before I read that, I'll go back to what she read, the last message that she read about the sister, Ikea. She said the daughter's first word she said was "ba." It's not "ba." You mentioned it in some way. It's "ba." You know, it's a Ghana word like "come." It's "come." It means come, "ba." So that is what she said. And she is the one I spoke about in Sweden, that she went to the shop and the guy was asking her to speak Tree with the daughter. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I'll read. I think we need to encourage our people to speak more of their native language with their children, because other people with just one language in their country are always finding ways to learn a different language. So it's an advantage to speak 2 or more languages. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is great. I think that is perfect. Yeah, man, it's like that. You need to learn more. And like I said, we are learning more languages, and we have the advantage to cross borders, because I can say I speak Norwegian. When I go to Sweden, I understand a little bit Swedish and also Danish, because we are, we are the, neighbors. We are neighbors from all the connects. I mean, Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, we are neighbors. So it's very common for us to understand each other, even though it's not the same, but we can communicate in some way. Yeah.
Karim says it's interesting because English is the only artificial language on planet Earth.
He's hitting a nail on the head. He's hitting a nail on the head. That's another for another day.
That's another topic. We won't go into that one for now. But maybe it says, I'm loving the program. Okay. Kofi, can you take this one?
Kiswahili should be the official language of Africa. It is widely spoken in the East and Central African countries, and SADC has also adopted it. That's great, until you come to find out Swahili is actually foreign. Swahili is a mixture of Bantu languages of East in Kenya, and Arabic. So if someone speaks Arabic and you're a Bantu speaker, you can understand them. So yes, Kiswahili is the same as what we call the patois and Pidgin. That's all it is. It's a model of a bunch of languages. How that came to be is because before the slave trade of the West, there was a slave trade of the East. something that people don't know. So that's how Kiswahili came about. I'll leave it there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the knowledge. I love this. Knowledge sharing. Okay, Sarah says, how I wish you all will speak in your local language. Since the
Language,
topic is about local language.
yeah, that's correct. That's correct. I wish the same thing. I wish so too. So
Okay, so we're going to close in about 5 minutes. So maybe
Okay.
in the next 5 minutes, we just do our native language. Okay, all right, no problem. But I won't be able to read in my native language, I beg you. So, okay, let's start from now. Okay. Since, or nice to see you, maybe, Kofi? Or say nice to see you, Kofi,
Nice
maybe.
to see you. Oh, yeah. Oh, now I know who it is. Yes. Nice to see you too, Sister Sarah.
Okay, Francine, you have a message.
Talking about contemporary.
I know exactly what he's on about.
No, what he's like, a rich contemporary.
What are you talking about?
I told you that this is how you talk, like you're talking. No, but it's good. I mean, yeah, it's another tonation altogether.
Rich contemporary. Yes.
This is the thing about like language. Everything is so simple, and I only speak English, for example, like a lot of diaspora, and the sounds and the words, the letters together are very unnatural, as in towards English. Like we're not like Spanish or Portuguese. We don't roll things. We don't put K's and P's together, and like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's also all in all of that. It makes it even harder, and that's why I'm saying like the challenges in the way people like approach you about it, and that's it. It's like it takes a long time to like really like hear it, and because it's so tonal, like the same word, like the word was it like the word I think is like key and window sound very similar, right? So if someone is speaking and everything's about context, right? So you have to understand a lot of it to really get the context. But if I hear the word key, I hear the word window, it could sound the same to me because I don't have the natural flair for the difference. So it's just a more like it just takes way more practice than say learning a French or whatever. So again, it's just about just kind of continuing it, like just keep on like persevering. And I think that's the difficulty. I think people try and then they're just like,
they give up.
I think that happens a lot.
Okay, Kofi, can you read this in Tree or interpretate it for us in Tree?
Okay, interpreting Tree.
Yeah.
Okay, wow, let's go. Is Nee going to? Nee will understand, but is now going to understand?
Yes.
I'm not going to.
Okay.
No, I can understand Tree.
Okay, mini aba eneni kunu. Just raising. Omo yen. Omo mamienu. Ewo landing crew. Na abo mu so no chi. If you say omo fi say ebasa omo brofo kasa no emu na ho. Said the broni beka no.
Hey.
I won't say the last one because it's quite rude.
Yeah.
Yes. What do you think about that, Nee?
I don't think it's true. It is not true.
Okay.
I think they should learn their native language because you know what? Something happened in Ghana some time ago. I think somebody traveled with the children or a child to Ghana, and because they speak their native language, when the family, some people plan to do something to the person, they were speaking the language, and the kid understands what they said. So the mom or the dad came back, and the kid said exactly what was said behind him or her, that this is what they say. And then he or she was like, really? It was a plan thing to, do something silly to the family who came from abroad. But because the children or the child understands the language, they were able to tell the mom or the dad. There was a story like that. So I think it's very important At least they should understand so much. I mean, if they cannot speak fluent, it's not a big problem, but they should understand that when something is coming or when they are standing somewhere and somebody might say, can you jump? They should understand what means jump. Maybe there's a car coming to knock you down. I don't know that you speak English or you don't, but so far as you are black, I think you understand me in my native language. So I will say, two, once I say two, you have to jump. You understand? So it's very important to understand your native language. Very, very, very important. I mean.
All right. You didn't speak in Ga when I told you to respond, or you
Lee,
you've lost the battle. When you see battle, no,
I'm happy I said something. I'm happy I said something in Ga. No, but that is it. That is it. I mean, I didn't know, so it's okay. I can accept that.
No problem. No problem. Now, can you read this one in English?
Sure, why not? Italians are like that because they are developed and contribute a lot to the world, and then that makes their language quite strong. Okay, we need to develop and advance as a nation before our language will matter to the world. I mean, I don't know. Italian. I don't really necessarily agree with that. I don't know. I mean, Italian is spoken widely, but I don't think it's like it's not like an English or a French, I would say. And I don't necessarily think that our language is ever going to matter to the world, because, I mean, that's a whole like larger conversation about where Black people sit in the world. And I think that 2020 was like really progressive for us, but I don't think that we're going to, I don't necessarily, maybe I'm wrong. I don't necessarily think I'm going to live in a world where like loads of people in the UK are going to be speaking Ga or Chi. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's the new Mandarin, Cantonese, who knows? But yeah, I do think that we need to take pride in it ourselves. And I think that it would make sense for, our wide diaspora to speak our language before it could permeate any other kind of culture.
Yeah.
I would say a lot of people are interested in Ghana, and like our economy is strong. We're seen as really strong on the continent. So actually there could be a chance as more and more people want to try and enter and try and, play in our market. Maybe we will see more people speaking our native languages around the world.
Absolutely. I mean, this question that's on the screen, Ghanaians want to learn French, Spanish, Chinese, but find it hard to speak Chi. Is it that they're trying to do business with those languages?
Yeah, but it shouldn't even write Chi there. It can say that, but they find it difficult to speak the native language. It shouldn't be specific on one particular language. No, this is the problem we have. No. Let's be honest. When you do that, everybody will know where you are directing the story to. You understand? And to me, like I said, I don't like cheating. I don't want to cheat on anybody. Let's play fair game. That is why maybe when I'm talking on my program, the way I balance things, sometimes people don't understand. They feel like, I don't know, but this is why I will come and talk and I will say, why did you write this? Because it should be more like, like say the native language, that means you are including everyone. Because Twi is not the official language of Ghana. Twi and Ghana, they will be the second official language after English. Twi and Ghana, these two. Because recently I did a show, and there's a video, you hear people or somebody talking, giving an announcement at the airport and speaking Ghana. So we are planning to even say that, okay, why can't we try to do the same for all the, I mean, at least we should choose 3 or 4 languages in Ghana that we think people speak most to use it in the airports in Ghana, so that people who don't speak English can find their way out when they are at the airports. You understand what I mean? So this is the thing. We should let the thing look like we are talking for everyone, not one person. That's how I see it. Thank you.
Just to add my bit, I think that Benta, you were going to say something. Go for it.
No, go, Kofi. I'm going to wrap up. Otherwise, we'll be here forever.
Just knock you on the head. I'd say, languages are like keys. You know, they open doors, and the more keys you have, the more doors you can open. You know, in our case, we know the key is there, we're just not going to use it. You know, then that's what the challenges we have. But we need to, you know, look at the bigger picture. What does languages do for us? You know, for instance, we are a nation of multitudes of different nations, tribes, if you want to call it, and the differences that we have is what should make us stronger. You know, for instance, if you say you've got a Ghanaian president now, if he was speaking just Chi all the way, wherever he goes, they would have to employ a Ghanaian within that state that he's going in to translate, so the people of the nation understand what he's saying. That's a job.
Yeah.
We don't look at that. We don't look at that. And how many countries does the president visit a year? Plus, you know, the what's it called? The high commissioners, that they change every so often. And, you know, it's like being in the armed forces. You have a duty and you rotate. So if we really want our languages to matter, what we do need to do is have our children having at GCSE level, not choosing French, not choosing English, not Russian, not German. Choose Ga, choose Chi, choose Ewe, choose Dagbani, choose, you know, Yoruba, you know, choose an African language, relate back home. You know, that's what we need to do, GCSE level. Now, in Ghana, we need to instruct in our native language. There's no two ways about that, because it's leading us backwards. We don't want to be, you know, hindered. So we've been hindered for a long time because we're not using what, even though we know it works better, you know, we don't. Because I've been in a class where a teacher had to say, you know what, Katrina Honto. Because the child was struggling.
The
child was struggling, and the teacher was struggling to understand the child. So he just said, you know what, just say your chi and let's go. And guess what? It only took like 5 seconds, and the child and the child knew exactly what she wanted to say. And this happened in Accra, in one of the schools. I'm not going to mention it because it might give a publicity issue. But yeah, you know, it's something that we really need to look at. We need to open our minds like an umbrella. It only works when it's open, you know. But if we're going to be, you know, needle focused, we're just going to be punching holes. We're not going to be, you know, picking up anything. So languages are like keys, and the more we have, the more doors we can open. That's what I want everyone to take with them tonight.
Yes, absolutely. Do you know what? It's been such a great topic, and we could actually go on and on and on and on. Some people mentioned about food, why we're not eating this food and we're eating that food and whatever. But I think one of the main issues, if we really have to talk about this topic, is the fact that actually you will find that somebody in Kumasi has never visited Accra before and doesn't even intend to. Some people in Accra have never been to Kumasi or the local region, and we are not there. Local tourism is poor. Local tourism is poor amongst ourselves as Ghanaians because we don't travel, and so we are so like Ashanti, that's it, or we are so like Ghana, that's it. We are not traveling out to appreciate each other, and I think that that's also key for us to learn and love each other, respect each other's food, the way we eat, everything, all of this. So I think that we need to do more of that as well. And definitely, as we know, this topic, we need to encourage our children and as much as possible, speak to them in our dialect so that they will have a better understanding and be confident when they go to Ghana and be able to communicate with their grandmother, you know, who doesn't want to speak English, but wants to speak to their grandchildren in their native language. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on the show. It's been amazing. I don't think we've got the true answer to everything, but we've shared our experiences, and hopefully that will encourage other people. So I don't know if you have your last words. I mean, there's so many comments, we can't go through it. I would say that in your own time, you can go on our Facebook or the YouTube and respond to people directly. Guys, I will share their email addresses again if you want to join some of the classes that Na is doing, please contact her on the email. Kofi, would even really go into what you do as well. Is there anything, any service that you can provide to Ghanaians and yourself as well, Nee?
Okay.
Yeah.
Nee, do you want to go first? You're the oldest, so
Yeah,
eldest first.
Just go.
Fantastic. Thank you. Myself, I deal with African keyboards. I create African keyboards for writing African languages. I started with Chi. Sorry, Nee, it wasn't personal. I started with Chi because that's what I understood.
It's okay.
But the genius is that when I got to the Bureau of Ghana Languages, and Jumako said, you know what, we love what you've done. We want it in more languages. So I came back, and now I've got it for all the languages in Ghana. So you can write all the languages in Ghana on my keyboard.
Fantastic.
We've got it on a mobile as Android app, and in fact, the Android app also, does a prompt where when you're trying to put in a certain tree word and you don't know it, it pops some of them up. It gives you more than 1,000. It's probably one of the best out there at the minute. I'm just gonna share my screen if that's okay with you.
Yeah, please do.
Okay, so bear with me a sec. Okay. Okay, how are we doing? Can you see it?
Yep, let me put it on the screen.
Fantastic. So yeah, this is my website. This is the keyboard. When you do have a chance, do go have a look at it. We don't like to throw anything away. So if you have a laptop and you're like, oh, I've got a laptop, how do I get it to write the Ghanaian languages? What we do is we have labels that we can relabel your laptop keyboard. And the keyboard itself, as you see, is there like that. But we can also upgrade your desktop keyboard as well. So this is what it looks like when you get it. It says Ghanaian keyboard on it. In front of me, I'm using my Tree one because it was the first prototype that I ever created. And if you're not going to use your own product, then surely it can't be that good. If you have Apple devices, we also have these to lay on them because they are customized. We have it for the US version and the UK version. Allows you to just place on it and just use it when you need it and remove it whenever you don't. Here is an example of one of the upgrades I did of a wireless keyboard, if you can see it. But you can also notice that it's a US keyboard. So the Inga Inga, which Neil will be very happy about, has moved from the Z, or just next to the Z, to the X instead. So you can have a look at it on our website, and I'll leave it here so others can tell you more about what they do. Thank you.
That is brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. I mean, these should be in Ghanaian schools, man.
We're just making progress.
Yeah?
Yeah, we're making progress. Hopefully that will come in Ghanaian schools and teachers will be able to teach all the Ghanaian languages on a projector. So even if you're as far back in the village, all you need is a computer and a projector, and you'll be able to teach the children the language.
That is brilliant. So how do we place orders? Is it on Amazon or is it just on your website?
No, this is our website. Nothing is external. It's all kept on the same website as theodotech.co.uk.
Okay.
You can also
please
WhatsApp number.
Please type in the your number and the website on the private chat so I can share that.
Sure, will do.
That is fantastic. Me?
My vegan, it be a vegan, she be a vegan, Mokotumo, Victor Apente, a Kowoye, Plamano, a cane vegan, no my vegan. Don't you admit, I told me near Shitekwe, if your radio, TV, you a radio, no, you a TV, no, ni Agbenehue, in Yanichumo short to any inchumo, Ekoji. Artists ni are managed any at leba Ghana, Keba Bluchi, neighbor talk, can be if you know me. Then you say in your middle, in clinic company, import and export company, travel and tour company. Nino who Michon can tune the war in Bapi, Koyemo, me and Sani SNG, Mofiamo, Noni Sabue, Sani Akehabu, Moko Akako Moko no. Tra ni Umania Bla of a Radon.
Oh, you are done. I think I got that. So you do travel and tour.
Yeah.
You do import and export, right? You also do radio and TV.
Yep.
Hey.
Yeah.
My guy is coming back.
You're on
Yeah,
fire.
yeah,
You're on fire.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So
You got it. You got it.
now you have to speak in Ga before we leave, please. You have to speak in Ga before we leave.
I actually, your colleague Christina actually told us, like, please don't make anyone put me on the spot and speak Ga. So she said no, so I'm not doing it, guys.
Christine is not the boss. Christine is not the boss. Oh, okay, no problem. If that was the agreement, then no problem whatsoever. But guys, this is Kofi's email address. Kofi, have you sent the? Okay, I think. Okay, cool. I've seen it now.
I think me and Kofi we've been chatting for a while now, so
Yeah.
I have his
brilliant.
link, on WhatsApp. So I'll take. We'll talk more later then.
Please do, yeah. Please
For the website and other stuff. So
I'll pop over so we can do something together.
Okay. Okay. Great.
That will
nice.
Great. That will be absolutely great. So let me just share.
And Francine as well.
Yes, let's
I'll
all
be
connect.
speaking to you on Instagram, actually, Francine.
Okay.
Let's all connect. It's really, really important that we connect and do business together, hopefully, and help each other as much as we can. Thank you so much, Kofi, for this great innovation. I think it's so important. And we will be pushing it for you if you need help in Ghana. I'm here to assist you and help you in any way that I can. Me, anything Ghana, I'm there. So please do get in touch with myself, and we will see how best we can help. Now we'll definitely be pushing your thing. If you can send me any flyers of your project, I'll share it on my Instagram and Facebook and try and get people to subscribe as well. And my brother, Ni, you are done. I'll definitely be in touch as well, my brother. I haven't been to your side of the world yet, but I'm sure that we can connect and see what we can do together. If there's anything that I can help with you in Ghana here as well, I am ready to help you as well. God bless you. You are done. Thank you so much for taking your time to be on the show. We've been here for nearly 2 hours. Doesn't really feel like it, but the conversation has been great. People have made really good contributions as well. Please do try and reply to them when you can on your spare time. That would be absolutely fantastic. Thank you once again for joining me on the show.
Thank you.
Okay, bye. Bye.
Okay, guys, thank you so much. Another fantastic show. I've enjoyed myself. I know that my guests have been absolutely brilliant, and I hope that you have gotten their contacts. You're going to contact them. You're going to purchase some of their products as well, and keep in touch with them and encourage them. But I do think that language is very, very important, as well as it's important as naming your child as well. And I keep saying that we should be naming our Ghanaian names to our children instead of using other names. I think it's part of identity. And thank you so much to Christine, my boss, for putting the speakers together, and for my team, Cassie, Pearl, and Naomi for contacting all the speakers and making sure that they are on. Guys, I can't thank you enough. Madam Asibebre said, "Mo joining me here on the Dental Show. Nyamiya Doma next week. Yes, I'll be with another exciting episode of the Dental Show. Into me pamacho. So on subscribe it. So on follow page. Now making sure say obe spreading the word. Obe making sure say obin subedeng ashe program na ye and then into me damasi bebre. Nyankopon ya duma yisabe shia. But before mekono, make sure say obe shawo mask, obe social distance, obe wash your sa. Na coronavirus no. It is here like no man's business in Ghana right now. Hospitals are full. ICUs, ayema. Intimi sremo repamacho. Take this COVID-19 seriously. Na, and yes, sad. Ubetime lose a loved one at a time manenke so yede. we lose that loved one. Let's protect ourselves. Let's go out there. Mask. Make sure so be protected. If you're not protecting yourself, protect your be for front or wohono. A be an any pacrono. Now will be a COVID-19. You don't know. A lot of people are walking around, they don't know, say, or more COVID-19, but they have COVID-19. Let's make sure, say, we protect ourselves. Now, this COVID-19 is not a joke. A friend lost a loved one 4 a.m. This morning to COVID-19. It just came on just like that. And they needed oxygen, but all the hospitals were full and they've gone now. So please, I'm begging you, guys, wash your hands. Social distance as much as possible, but don't forget to wear your mask. God bless you all. Good night, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.